Welcome back to Open, everyone. I'm Rhina Valentin, your host of Café con Leche for the next hour. Always inviting you to get social with us online, that is. Tweet us and follow us on Instagram at BronxNet TV or like us on Facebook at Open BronxNet Television. And of course, don't forget, while you're there, follow moi on Twitter, Instagram, FB, Insta Stories, LinkedIn, and Snapchat at Rhina Valentin. Our next guest is a Bronx native who recently completed the NYU Tisch School of the Arts graduate film program, and what he birthed as his thesis is a film titled Release, a story about a Bronx male dealing with post-traumatic stress disorder after being imprisoned for 21 years. We have a sneak peek of the film. Let's take a look at Release.
What's your name?
Ricky Santana.
What's your birthday?
September 4th, 1977.
What's your address?
I went to see you. My 18th birthday. It took almost 4 hours by bus.
There's no place for a child.
I was 18. An adult.
I didn't want my family to see me engaged.
Valerie is from No More Church, and she might have a job opening up.
Starting a business is difficult, but taking risks is part of it, and
I deserve better.
Yeah, okay.
Once I've turned to ash, so thanks for your concern. Now please hand me a match.
Hola.
Watch me burn.
You think Mima's playing matchmaker with your boss?
Watch me burn.
I don't want this anymore.
It's just cynics. Every man I ever been with turns out to be an asshole.
To your future.
Joining us to tell us more about the film Release, please welcome writer and director Adel L. Morales. Hello.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Ya era tiempo.
Yeah.
Congratulations
Thank you so much.
on completing after many years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about that, because I know you work as a teacher by day, and then we're completing this film for I don't know how many years, right?
Yeah, well, so it was a 4-year program and then thesis student for like another 2 years. And in those thesis years, I was working a day job, and then I would go home and from 5 to midnight and do the second job, which was make this movie.
Wow. And so let's talk a little bit about the topic you chose and why. And I need to know, like this, because the story is really, it's a really delicate topic,
Absolutely.
right? And in reading the synopsis, and I don't know, I don't really want to give too much away, but I'm going to let you speak on that.
Sure.
But it kind of sort of is, it makes sense a little bit.
Yeah, it deals with a topic that is universal,
Right,
that a lot of people, it's a taboo,
right,
and they'd prefer it be swept under the rug.
right.
And most of the time it is. And so in this film, I'm putting it out there
Right.
for you to handle in some way.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And so I'm just curious, did the story itself evolve from you maybe having a student within your class share a story like that?
Not exactly, but part of 6-year part of my career was in a group home setting, and so there were type stories like that.
Okay.
Right? And so anything you read in the paper also, like those are where I kind of get the inspiration to tell these stories, because a tragedy on the front page, next day, another tragedy, next day, and each time you're throwing it away, there's people's lives that are being affected by that tragedy, and so.
And then there's the repetition, right? And it kind
And
of
you get used to it,
Right.
and you get used to seeing it through this perspective, and so what I'm doing is, here, look at it this way.
right. So, okay, so we're talking about a gentleman who is incarcerated for 21 years. We're talking about a gentleman who also happens to play the role of a father who comes back into the real world gets to reacquaint himself with his daughter, and then the relationship is not exactly a father-daughter relationship.
Not in the usual terms.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And so I just wanted the audience to understand, because we're kind of speaking in code,
Sure.
because we're trying to be delicate about it. But the fact of the matter is that you're bringing into light this issue that is plaguing the United States and the world, for that matter. And that is mental health, mental illness, I should say. And it really starts from the immediate domestic environment. And so if you're already being raised to think a certain way, then, you know, it's going to repeat itself. And aside from repeating itself, it normalizes that way of existing. And so hence there's all of this. And I mean, look, if you want to go back in the days where the royal families would go and they would marry their own and things of that nature, I mean, nobody's saying anything is right or wrong. It's just a matter of how it affects each individual.
Well, that's just it. And so in instances where it happens in people's families. It happens to, you know, the story of a neighbor down the street. I was once in a relationship with a woman whose aunt and uncle were first cousins, and everybody knew.
Right.
So it's not, they just keep it hush.
Right.
But, so, yeah, this a reality out there. And I'm just trying to, and it was purposely, I chose it because it's controversial. This is my first movie.
Right.
And so you want to come out with something controversial that people might be afraid to touch. And if you walk out of this movie thinking, I've never seen anything like that, and I was moved in my gut, right? Then I feel like I've done my job, you know?
Right. And again, when I go back to the right or wrong, I mean, in the sense of like the storyline in which you chose, is that they don't really know each other. So in essence, they're kind of strangers to each other, but they're connected to each other. And I'm not saying that it's correct or anything, but it could make sense.
Right. I posit a possibility, right? I give you a possibility of how this might happen. Yeah. And I feel like if you might end up watching it like this at some point, but you keep watching it, you know?
And so what was your process like?
Of
Of
coming up with the
creating
story?
the film, well, creating the film itself,
right, okay.
as in its entirety. I mean, you have some great actors on board. You've got Caridad de la Luz. I know you got Victor Cruz, and then the lead actor,
Ian Paula.
right? And I also know that you have
Priscilla Star Diaz used to be on the Electric Company. Ian was just off power. I think he killed Julio. I think that's the guy, 718.
right.
So he was phenomenal performances all around from all those people that you mentioned. I had worked with a lot of them before. So excuse me, this project I was given, I had a month to shoot it with NYU's equipment. So I knew I had to get it shot in these amount of days. So writing the script for 5 months with my script consultant, Julio Toro, who's part of my company, Hollywood Productions. 5 months of that, while I was, again, working my day job, I would spend the evenings going to 5 car washes, 5 laundromats, 5, you know, because these are locations that I needed. Did all that. Got Elaine Del Valle to help with the casting. Phenomenal, so I didn't have something off my plate, you know. We got it. One day of dinner with each of the main actors, so there wasn't much rehearsal. We said, because we're running out of time, we'll do it on set, but at least let's talk about what these characters are and their spines. And yeah, when we got to set, the cast was majority of people I had worked with on other projects, and the crew was classmates from NYU. So it was love.
Right, and it was organic. I can
Yeah.
sense, just by the way you just described that.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure that everybody can go see this movie. So before we go, let's share where it's going to premiere.
Sure. Urban World Film Festival, September 19th at 8:45, Theater 12. That's 42nd Street and 8th Avenue at the Urban World Film Festival. Yeah, it's called Release.
I know.
Yeah.
That's an
You're
interesting
you're coming?
title.
You're coming?
Yes, I'm coming.
Yeah, on a whole bunch of levels, absolutely. Release is the perfect title for this. Yeah.
Well, congratulations
Thank
to
you.
you
Thank you
on
so much.
releasing your new film, Release.
Thank you.
¿Viste?
All right.
All right, you guys. Release will premiere at the Urban World Film Festival on September 19th at 8:45 p.m. And for more on Release, please visit HollywoodProductions.com. We have to take a quick break, but when we return, we'll hear about an exhibition celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month you don't want to miss. Don't go anywhere.